So, well, if you're like me, in your prayers, prayer has been kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for, an up and down experience. So first off, in growing up, we think, okay, well, if I pray for my mother, who's sick to get better, she'll get better, right? Or if I ask God to, help get me a job, or do, help somebody out, that's going to happen. Well, as we all know, it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So with most people's approach to prayer, they'll try something once and they'll say, okay, I'm praying for a Cadillac. Okay. Is it out in the driveway yet? No, prayer doesn't work. It's a bunch of hooey, right? Or maybe you prayed for things and you really wanted them and you didn't get it. And you think, well, this prayer stuff doesn't work. I prayed for X and it didn't show up. Now, if you've ever had the experience of praying for something and it did show up, that's pretty cool. And for praying, hopefully for someone who's very sick and they recover, that feels great. You pray for people who are in danger, or people who could be experience potential suffering from the weather, and they pull through. That feels good. But you ever notice when you pray for something and it comes through, there's a little voice inside you that says, oh, it was going to happen anyway. That was going to happen anyway. Yeah, your prayer didn't have anything to do with it. It's going to happen anyway. Right? You ever get that? I get that. I get that voice. Now, if you've been following my classes and teachings, I've identified the energies that we're dealing with. All of us are living in an energetic planet, dealing with everything that we're dealing with here on this planet is an energetic exchange, because we're all energy. You, me, the air, the house, the grass, the sky, you name it. This is an energetic planet we're living in. So it's really fundamental to understand how energy works. Doesn't that make sense? Hey, if you're living on an energetic planet, doesn't it make sense for you to, learn the energetic laws and learn how things work? Well, you would think that, but unfortunately, it's not the case. Now, we're all taught about the physical laws. We're all taught about, and that's important. We're taught about the scientific and the physical laws of how things work, and the various theories that happen. The theory of gravity, okay, or different scientific theories. And we grew up thinking we live in a physical world, and we're taught educationally in a linear fashion. So linear means, well, A plus B combined with C equals D. Okay, and that works in the hard sciences. It works in math. It works in scientific formulas. But in the area of energy, in the area of human behavior, and how that behavior works and what it's based on, it's not so clear. So, and that's one of the reasons why I got into energy awareness training. And I created it to be able to explain the things that are unexplainable. So, we get it explained as well. You go to school, and then you major in something. After you get out of high school, you go to trade school or you go to university, and you pick out what you want to do. And then after you graduate, you go get a job, and hopefully that's your career. And then you meet someone and you fall in love and you get married and you have kids, and then you live happily ever after, right? Isn't that the way it's supposed to go? That's kind of like the way it's supposed to go, the way they explained it to us, or what we learn that people do growing up. But then when you grow up, you recognize life's not that way. It's not that simple. And then it's kind of frustrating because sometimes things work out the way you want them to, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes it feels like you're in control, and sometimes it feels that you're not in control. So One of the things that I teach in my course called energy awareness training, that I teach either one-on-one or in group classes or from the video modules that I have for my students, I teach energetic laws. And these energetic laws are principles that we should have been taught in the second grade, along with reading, writing, and arithmetic, because they're a blueprint of how things work. And even though we're moving a little bit into a subjective realm, this particular realm you can start to learn by observation. And these are the things, unfortunately, the affairs of the heart, of our emotions, of dealing with people socially, our place growing up. All of these things, they're not subjective. They're not. For example, there's a law. Well, if you go to junior high, your first day at a new school in junior high, well, how do you get along with people? You smile and be nice, and everybody will be your friend, right? And you'll have a great time. Well, if you ever went to junior high at a new school, that's not the formula, because sometimes people, you go around smiling, people think you're a geek, or people don't know you, or there's cliques around that you have to deal with, and some people, like you, some people don't like you, they don't even know you. So in other words, there's a multitude of factors that are taking place beyond the just smile and be a nice person and you'll have friends. It's a lot more to it than that. How about man-woman relationships? Well, you ask the girl out. You're very nice to her. You let her know you care about her, and then hopefully she'll care back about you, and you'll fall in love, and you'll have a great happily ever after, and it'll just be swell. Okay, that's the formula that we learn, right, for getting along. Well, anybody who's ever had a relationship knows it's not that simple. There's a lot more, way a lot more to it than just being nice. And I'm nice to you, you're nice to me, we're nice to each other, everything's rosy. No, tremendous issues that we have to deal with. And energy awareness training, by and large, it explains the things that were never explained to us when we were kids on how to navigate this world, how to have a happy, functional, prosperous, healthy life on planet Earth. So one of the energetic principles I want to share with you in the class today is the law of paradox. And that's a very important law. And the law of paradox simply goes like this. Some things are the way they seem to be. Things are sometimes not the way they seem to be. So we've all had the experience of, hey, I do A, B, and C, I should get D, right? Hey, I do this, I've done that for this person, they should like me back, or I've, given, X amount of years to the company and they should reward me with a promotion or more money, etc. So we all have these shoulds in the world. I had a teacher that said people are too busy shoulding on themselves to really know what's going on. Should means SHOULD, should. I mean, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. It should be this way. It should be that way. And I'm here to tell you that probably the number one factor in human misery and unhappiness and frustration is playing the shoulda, woulda, coulda game. Is playing that game where I go, well, I'm X amount of years old, I should be here by now, or I should have had this by now, or maybe life's passed me by, or all of these thoughts in our head, trying to evaluate, trying to judge, trying to compare where we should be from where we are. And nobody is where they think they should be. No one. I have people who think, oh my gosh, I'm turning 30 and I haven't traveled the world and I haven't made my first million yet, and I'm not married yet. Oh my life's a failure. Like, what? Wait a minute. Who said that you had to have those things done? Well, and they say, well, I naturally assume that by the time I reach X amount of age, I'd be displaced. Well, life doesn't work that way. I'm sure you guys have, that's one thing I'm sure you've noticed. Life doesn't work the way we think it should at times. It doesn't give us exactly what we want all the time. So, but it does some of the time, but not all the time. So, do you remember that famous quote by Abraham Lincoln? It says, "You can fool some of the people some of the time, and all the people some of the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time." Although our current president is certainly trying as hard as he can, but I digress. What that simply means is that there are factors going on that we can control, factors going on that we can't control. How do we know the difference? Well, we're not sure. We're not sure exactly how this works. And this is why I wanted to do this class today on the ability to understand, okay, well, what is this? What's this thing called prayer and intention and mind power? Does it work? Does it not work? Is it hooey? Is it new age fluff? What is it? Okay. Well, I bring this up because as an energy awareness trainer and teacher, I teach people how to use energy in a variety of different ways. I teach people how to use energy to be aware of how the world works on this planet. And that's one of the things I'm going to be doing with you today, giving you some tips to maybe see things a little clearer, a little deeper on how this particular world works, because we're in an energetic world. And again, for those of you who are new to my work, I base my work on a quote by Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest geniuses of the modern age, that said, if you really want to understand the mysteries of life, and since all of life is energy, then you'll start to look at things in terms of frequency, vibration, and energy. And that's what we're doing, and that's what I teach, because when you do that, life becomes a lot more clear and workable. And when you're in league with the energies, when you're working in concert with the energies around you, with the force, you have a better life. It's like with the wind. If you're in a sailboat, you want to put that sail up when the wind's blowing so you can use the wind. Now, if you're going the opposite way where the wind's not blowing, you can't use that power. So each of us, by the very fact that we're energetic beings, we have an aspect to us that's unlimited, that's infinite, that's eternal, that's an energy, I call it an energetic dimension or an energetic frequency, that's measured by science, in that our energies never die. Our energies transform and they take different shapes. So when you start looking at everything around us, and the energy is either alive or it's not alive. You know, this beautiful plant here I have, it's big time alive. Okay, and you can see that. You can see it, you can smell it. It's great. Love having it here. You see other things not alive, that doesn't have the life force. It's not there. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, it's very important when we're going to start understanding concepts like prayer or quantum consciousness or the ability to project energies, as I'm going to try to explain it here. So in this world, one of the energetic laws that's important is that things are the way they seem sometimes. Things aren't the way they seem sometimes, right? We've all had the experience of thinking things were one way and they turn out to be another way. And other times, people were exactly what they seem to be, you know, good, honest people. And sometimes you meet people who claim to be that, and they let you down, or they disappointed you, or they hurt you. So, and you didn't plan for that. It's just the way it worked out. All right. So we have the law of paradox, and we also have the law that energetic law from energy awareness training that goes like this. Everything that is seen comes from the unseen. Everything that is physical comes from non-physical. I don't know if you've ever stopped to think about that, but everything that you see around us was created at some point, especially us. You know, our physical bodies weren't walking around 100 years ago. But 9 months before we came on the scene, our parents had an idea. Let's go out on a date Saturday night and have a lot of fun, which is exactly what they did. And they had so much fun that out of that intention, out of that thought, created action. And that action created the act that brought you and me, or you and I, into the world here. So it's the same thing with with your phone. Once upon a time, this thing didn't exist, but somebody had an idea. Wonder what it'd be like if we could make a cell phone, something that, to this specification. What would we have to do? And they designed it and they worked on it. They designed it and they worked on it. And lo and behold, from that invisible idea, because you can't see ideas, right? You can't see ideas unless you can read thoughts. Some people can, most people can. The idea comes from an invisible place and manifests and creates physicality by our taking action, by our behaviors, right? Moving forward with this. It's true with everything. Same with this guitar, same with the house, everything. We had an idea. It existed in a non-physical or an invisible plane at one point, and then that invisible thought, intention, desire went from a non-physical thought to a physical action. Like with the phone, they started, okay, make the glass and then make the cover and pretty soon you got a phone. Now, why that's important is because everything that we're dealing with in this world is energy. And to not know that means that you're missing out on a vital information, how things work. Because there's the energy that we see and there's the energy that we don't see. So for example, maybe for the iceberg metaphor, 10% above the water that you can see, 90% below the water that you can't see. Right? And the Titanic wasn't sunk by the 10% it could see. It was sunk by what? The 90% that it couldn't see. So this is why this issue is fascinating. Does prayer work? Does intention work? Well, it's working. It's already working at a energetic or non-visible realm, because see what I wanted to say on this. That which we can see, we can control. That which we can't see controls us. Now think about what I just said for a minute. That which we can see, well, I can control what I'm going to have for lunch. I can control whether I go to the beach today or whether I stay home and work. I can control when I do the laundry, etc. You can control that stuff. However, perhaps habits that you've acquired or behaviors that don't work for you, or addictions, or even going down that road where there's things that you want to change about yourself or about your life, maybe your relationship, or maybe your money, or maybe your career, or maybe your health. There are things that you want to change that you haven't been able to do that. You haven't been able to make the changes. And yet you've tried over and over again to do that and you haven't been successful. Why? If this was such a cut and dried world, right? A plus B plus C equals D, there should be an easy formula for everything in the physical world. A simple formula for everything. Well, there is in the physical realm. So for example, if I say to I think I want to paint my house. Okay, where does that come from? It's a concept, it's an idea. It's something that has appeared in my consciousness out of the 30 to 50,000 thoughts I have a day. So, Paint the house. Okay, what do I need to do to paint the house? Okay, I need to go get the paint, need to get the paintbrush, I need to get the ladder, I need to get the tarps, blah, 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 blah. Go get them, paint the house. So in a day or two after the house is all painted, people go, oh, what a great paint job. Good idea. Yeah, but where did that come from? It came from an invisible idea to create something or to manifest something that wasn't there originally. Okay, following me on this? All right, so when we're talking about human change, there's things that we have complete control over. Like some people, it's easy for them to control their diet. They easily and effortlessly eat the right things, not even tempted to go off, a really nutritious and, excuse me, a highly nutritious diet. There are other people that just can't do it to save their lives. They can't get through half a day without eating some junk or by being tempted to have candy or whatever. So for one person, it's a piece of cake. For another person, it's almost impossible. And all of us have issues like that. All of us have stuff that it's easy to do. It's a piece of cake. No problem. It can make the changes. That's our 10% above the water. But the stuff that we have problems with, the stuff that we have challenges with, that's the 90%, and that's below the water. And that's what makes up what I call our energetic operating system, the energetic operating system that we have within us. And that operating system is being influenced by hidden energies. So if you can listen to the sound of my voice, I'm here to tell you there are hidden energies that are operating within you that you can't see unless you're energetically aware, but that are trying to affect you. And if you're aware of it, you can do something about it. If you're not aware of it, you can't do anything about it except suffer. We don't want to suffer, so let's get energetically aware.